So Carmen, are we ready?
We're ready. We're ready to be mavericks.
So just for transparency, did we sign up for this?
We did sign up for this. We put a date on the calendar. We needed to prepare. We were about halfway through what we're going to talk with you about today. We hadn't proven everything out yet, and here we are.
All right, come on, let's go.
All right, well, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining today to hear our customer success story. We're going to talk about UX-led approach, how that happens when you try to do a scaled agile transformation. I'm Carmen Farenthold, and I work for FritoLay's division of PepsiCo. 28 years ago, I joined the company and started working in our supply chain space out in field operations. Got some experience in manufacturing, in warehouse, and in distribution center operations. I then transitioned to doing more general project management work in supply chain and in sales, and along the way, led large-scale deployments for FritoLay North America. The current career path that I'm on is in the sales side of our organization, specifically in sales technologies. I lead a team of 14 people that deliver business innovation and business continuity or operations support for all of the in-market solutions that we have today that our sales teams leverage. I also lead the FritoLay Lean Agile Center of Excellence. Ken?
Thank you, Carmen. So I joined PepsiCo about 14 years ago, starting my journey with IT. Majority of my time is in supply chain. My career path with Carmen is slightly different. I had a choice to join FritoLay, focusing on really lean processing, and then for a couple of years after that, I got a chance to move into corporate, focusing on really global supply chain. So with that work, I had the opportunity to see our supply chain across the globe. I spent about 5 years there, and then the last 2 years, I returned back to the division, which is FritoLay, and partner with Carmen on this amazing journey that we've been on the last few years. So.
And it has been a journey. Today, we're going to talk to you about user design and the principle of those related to simple, human, and connected. We want to share with you an operating model for how that might integrate with Scaled Agile from a transformation perspective. We're also going to talk about a couple hypotheses and understand what benefits we found delivering through that evaluation. But let's talk first a little bit about PepsiCo. We are a company that delivers more than $64 billion of net revenue, and we employ about 260,000 employees. We are one of the world's largest food and beverage companies, and when you look across the world, there's about 1 billion of our products that are consumed every day. We also have $22 billion brands, of which FritoLay, Tropicana, Gatorade, Quaker Oats, and of course Pepsi-Cola are part of that portfolio. Each one of those brands delivers more than $1 billion of retail sales every year. And a couple of other fun facts about PepsiCo and FritoLay. We started Pepsi back in 1898, and a little bit later transitioned to Pepsi-Cola. In 1945, Herman Lay and Elmer Doolin came together and merged Fritos and potato chips and created FritoLay. 20 years later, in 1965, FritoLay and PepsiCo then merged together to become what we know today to be PepsiCo. Along the way, we've owned Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, Kentucky Fried Chicken, California Pizza Kitchen, and even Wilson's Sporting Goods. So it's kind of a few interesting tidbits about our company. So what that video highlighted is, as a company, we have a mission to delight our consumers. And those consumers being you in the room, those of you that go shopping and consume our products on a day-to-day basis. So that video highlighted how our manufacturing plants are enabling technology so that FritoLay can delight our consumers. We really take technology to heart, especially our team, our sales technologies team, as we try to bring more technology innovation to our frontline sales representatives. So that video is just a snapshot of some of the technology that we use in our manufacturing facilities. So let's get a little bit more into the topic that we want to talk about today. We have 25,000 sales representatives that service just over 350,000 customers every day. Those sales reps are ordering product, they're delivering it to the stores, and they're merchandising that product on the shelf. It's our responsibility to make sure that the technology that they're using is current with the times, but it's autonomous so that they can get through their day in a much more efficient and fast method so that we can win at the shelf. We started this program that we're on right now, this initiative, with the end user in mind. And Dean talked about some of this morning when he was talking about design thinking and agile product development and the principles related to that. Our vision that we support and we sponsor within our team is that we want to lead and deliver innovative, human-centered sales and service experiences that most importantly are adopted by all. We spend a lot of time developing all these solutions. We want to make sure our end users are adopting the solutions that we're providing to them. We started this journey back in 2017, did a lot of research of everything Agile, and knew we had to make a change. We landed on implementing Scaled Agile and put our implementation roadmap together and worked through the different parts of that and are still on that journey. Along the way in 2017, we spent time training associates so that they can understand more about what Agile was supported, as well as getting senior leadership approval. We stood up our first train in January of 2018. That train had 5 Scrum teams. We supported retail execution, labor management, and e-commerce. Along the way, we knew we needed to activate portfolio level roles, so we did that. We also increased our scope 3 times. So when it came time to 2019, we had to make some changes. One more point to this slide here. To date, we have 280 practitioners within FritoLay that are now on the journey with us. We've taken them through Safe for Executives, Leading Safe, Release Train Engineer, Product Owner, Product Manager, Safe for Teams, and most recently, the DevOps course. So where are we at today? We are actually in PI 9. This week is the middle of 9.3 for us. We scaled to 8 Scrum teams this year. We're still focused on retail execution, e-commerce, and labor management. We're also now focused on professional selling tools for our sales representatives. We have 2 systems teams and 1 component team that are servicing the train that we have today, and we still do have 1 train. We're still about servicing the 350,000 customers, but we've also calibrated on our value stream, that being around delighting the consumer. What we've had to do over this last year is taken some bold steps. Bold steps with our partners, leaning into DevOps and what that can do for us as we try to increase our flow and speed to market. And we've also understood what our UCD journey might look like, as well as calibrate to the value stream. So we've enabled execution. Our sales reps are now getting account insights. They're getting execution priorities in market so that they can win with the customer. We've delivered a single mobile user experience for those sales representatives so they can win at the shelf and deliver what our store customers want, perfect service. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ken, and he's going to take us through the UCD journey. And then I'm going to come back in a few minutes, and we're going to do a retrospective review.
Thank you, Carmen.
Ken?
So over the next 20 minutes or so, I will take you all through the UCD journey. Why did we choose to be UCD-led? As Carmen have shared with you, we have over 25,000 frontline people or associates that within the FritoLay go-to-market system. These are the people that you see pretty much every day driving our trucks, delivering our products, ordering our products, and merchandising our products. They come from all walks of life. Most importantly, they come from all 5 different generations within our go-to-market system today. What that means is they come from digital natives, give me an iPhone, I magically figure it out, all the way to digital immigrants. So as we design our solution, we wanted to ensure that the solution is designed for all these capabilities, from someone who pick up the phone and know how to use it, for someone who say, you know what, I don't know how to turn on the phone, right? So user-centric design becomes the the objective for the program. That's how we say this is why this program is a UCD-led program. Additionally, we also want to ensure that all employees also feel value or benefits of being here at PepsiCo and a great place to work. That means that we want to have a solution or capability that empower them to make decisions every day. So, as Carmen shared with you in 2017, a few years back when we were looking at the research on UX, how do we start a digital transformation? What are the common themes? So we have done significant amount of research, and it come back down to just a couple areas of focus. One is you have to be innovative. What innovation means for us is agility. How do you pivot very quickly and always focusing on the human experiences? We are very good as a consumer packaged good company is focusing on consumers. Then how do we translate that expertise into our user? Because they are the people who are executing and delivering our sales and servicing our customer, and of course, ensure that we're delivering a perfect service for our customers. Additionally, within the retail industry, the retention rate, we are on par with the other industry within the CPG vertical. We think that one of the competitive advantage is to providing our employees a solution that empower them, make them that feel value and delightful, and then of course, increase employee satisfaction and the retention. So this is one of the reasons why we started a very large scale SAFE program, leveraging UX as the primary driving factor when we come down to designing for solution. So, of course, in addition to focusing on user, there's also foundational bottom line business benefits when you are adopting or focusing on user. When you do that, what you get is creating an intuitive solution that will allow your user to simply pick up the app or the solution and use it, right? With that being said, you reduce significant amount of training costs across the US. Again, just imagine the scale that we have, 25,000 plus associates that they're working and delivering our products every day. Every time we pull them out of the marketplace and to just attend the training, we are losing efficiency and we're losing opportunity to sales. Of course, lastly is, again, back to the whole empowerment is delightful for our employees. We need to provide our people the ability to have data. So that way, it's allow for the decentralization of decision. Think about 25,000 people making decisions every single second of the day. We can't manage at the headquarters level where we say, okay, A, B, and C, you need to execute this. This individual needs to be empowered with insights so that they can make decisions. Because if you think about, again, every time there is a advertisement, how do we execute that promotion all the way perfectly? The right time, the right assortment of products within the marketplace. Now, we also realize that we transition from a waterfall old ways of working. There are old habits that we need to break away from. And we felt that design thinking or leveraging design is one of the ways to ensure that we mitigate the risk. What that means is that traditionally, in the old ways of thinking is when we deploy solution, we are focusing on, hey, why don't I just give you that button, right? We don't think about the adoption. We're focusing on outcome. I can deliver 6 features, 6 user story, and this is the outcome that I deliver. The output, I'm sorry. So then the question is then, well, why are you not focusing on outcome? You need to focus on outcome and not output. Output means I can deliver the feature, but no one uses it. Who cares, right? So you don't get the value on that. And then lastly is, FritoLay is a very large organization. There are, in some cases, there is a headquarters desire to have data or headquarters desire to focus on productivity. But in the marketplace, our user may just focus on execution. I don't want to inform headquarters every day, every minute what I'm doing. Have I done the job? How do we design a solution that will automate, track, or keep track of what they're doing so that we can have the data that we need? Leveraging design, it can balance the needs of the both headquarters needs and the multiple stakeholders to develop that solution for us. So we started with the journey. Our journey started with 3 basic principles. Is how do we create a simple solution that is intuitive, always focus on the human experiences. And lastly is connected. We talked about connection a lot this morning around how to ensure that people are connected to the data, the right insight, but we also want to connect our people with the organizational performance, the goals. And the goals could be environmental health and safety, the self-performance within the region or the local area, and lastly is the connecting to the people that is above and beyond the region that he or she is working on. We have many best practices, and as well as many common approaches the way we go to market across the globe. So how do we create a solution that empower them to share best practices and communicate across so we don't reinvent the wheel every time? You're all familiar with this, that's why you're all here, right? Most companies that we have done the research, and we're no different from it, is that we start our journey with essential safe. What that means is that we have all the teams in place, we have the program structure in place to support the teams. However, we also very quickly realized that there are key areas within the portfolio that we have to activate right away. One of the key areas is the strategic themes. We want to ensure that align the strategy up and down the organization, and of course have clear accountabilities of owner on those strategic themes. The last thing you want is having a train running, a year down the road and your strategy is not aligned. And then lastly is a technical debt. Because the impact, the scale of 25,000+ people, the solution or whatever solution that we design today has to be forward compatible in the future years. So with that being said, although we started with Essential Safe, we activated a few areas to ensure that we are not creating a challenge for us in the future. Similarly to the same timing that Carmen has shared with you when it comes to Agile, at the same time we developed the Agile framework or identified the research on Agile. We also research on UX framework. One key point here is as you adopting Safe, the latest Safe version or starting the UX journey, there was a lot of conversation on insourcing and outsourcing. When you go through this process, I encourage you to think through that. The rationale is UX competency of creative people, the ability to manage a set of competency. In some cases, for us anyway, at the beginning, these are very new to FritoLay, right? So for us to go into an organization, to HR and leadership and say, hey, I need 20 people in this competency that is not known to the organization, and how do you justify 20+ net new headcount just to start the program? It was very difficult and very challenging for us. But one key area that for us is although we have done the research on the framework, we haven't tested the framework. FritoLay culture is, just like most organizations, it's unique in its own way. Where we landed is that we want the ability to flex our people or the skill set up and down as we test and learn the framework. So where we landed with is that we have 20% insourcing of our people, and then majority, which is the rest of the 80% is leveraging our partner to help deliver this framework, and of course for us to be able to flex resources or people up and down as needs be. Similar to the Agile side, in 2018 we launched PI1, deliver our first program. But during PI1, we wanted to focus on execution excellence. We did not want to focus on program level, we just want to focus on team level. How do we get design working and execute and deliver value immediately? So when we scaled up in 2019, we said, you know what, I think we got it. I think we got the team level excellent. There's still an opportunity, but at least we got that. So starting on 2019, we activate the program level from a design perspective as well. What that means is we are no longer just executional, we're actually looking at vision as well. How do we look forward, 5+ PI ahead? And then the last 6 months ago, we also activated the design portfolio, which I'm going to take you through very in details. So as you know, as you all heard today, within the Scaled Agile Framework in 4.6, even when we started this journey, design we did not clearly define within the framework. So this is how, this is kind of all lessons learned on how we understood the framework, test and learn and incorporate design thinking or user-centric design into the Scaled Agile Framework. Again, you're all very familiar with the portfolio configuration. What I want you to focus on is really the design tracks. So we call this 3 tracks. At the portfolio level, we call that is a discovery track. What that means is it look at a much longer time horizon to understand what those concepts are, and then validation of the business case. At the program level, we're focusing on the integration of those design, and then of course the delivery level the delivery track is really at the team level. I'm going to take you through very in detail as well on what these tracks are. A lot of information here. We're very passionate about it, so we want to take you through highly what those things are. At the discovery track, this is essentially an idea funnel. Right? These are the concepts that either someone within the organization or through research externally come into the funnel. You want the ability to quickly test and learn via prototyping. You want to be test in a control and in a small scale. Because when you test in a small scale, it affords you to fail fast, fail forward, right? And then once the concept has been validated and there's a business case and there's a value assigned to it, what you do at that point is then you move that vetted feature or idea, which is at the top level, into the design backlog. When the time is right and the design track will take the concept that has been vetted at a high level and focus mostly on integration and user research. So what that means in the middle of the track is all about, okay, love the new concept, understand there's a high business value behind it. Does it backward compatible with our existing solution, and does it also compatible, or how does it integrate into our future solution? And to do this, majority of the effort is around user testing. At this point, you perhaps don't just test in one location, you test in multiple locations. So in this scenario, design track focus on mostly user research. In this scenario, we have a lot of complexity in our marketplace, from union to non-union. So there are certain things that you want to test in certain locations, there are certain things that you don't, right? So this is where mostly the test is, when you stay about 3 to 5 PI ahead, so that you have done your research. As you conduct your research, you can conduct user feedback, you continue to refine your user features. What that means is that once the feature has been refined, vetted with wireframes or high-level wireframe, what does it look like, then you move to the lower level, which is the execution. At this point, the team will take that work that has been done and then quickly execute the user story with the right acceptance criteria, and then take the user story to done. Again, quickly, 3-track discovery, very high, 18 months plus out. The discovery track is 6+ months out, and then the delivery is either just in time or the current PI +1, when all possible. So that is how we feel that from a design perspective, this will be the ideal operating model. So what I'm going to take you through now is the hypotheses or the learning that we have done with the objective is to meet this 3-track, fully activate these 3 tracks. So our first hypothesis is that, as I shared with you earlier, is that it's very difficult for us to go and ask for incremental headcount right away, right? Our guiding principle is lean UX. How do we deliver or fully activate all 3 tracks with the right size or the right set of people with the skill set, without just saying, I'm hiring 50, 60 people in the organization? It just doesn't happen. So our hypothesis number 1, why don't we just put a designer embedded within the Agile team? Our initial thinking is the designer will be working with the team, yet at the same time has capacity to look forward into the design track as well as the discovery track. So what did we learn from here? Just like any approaches, there's always good, bad, or benefits or constraints, right? Within the constraint side on the column, mostly focusing on people, I repeatedly share the headcount challenge. The staffing was something new to us, or at least because we were so new to the area, is ability to source talented designer was very difficult. Apparently, it's a very high demand industry, or very difficult to source. And the retention rate or the churn rate for these folks are around 12 to 18 months. So if it takes you 4 months to find the right people, and you're kind of like, oh my goodness, in a few months that person may be leaving, right? And then lastly is, we also learned is managing creatives are very different from managing an engineer or a project manager or a traditional way of thinking. We didn't have the organizational structure from the leadership at the beginning to managing and inspire this set of creatives. So that's something that y'all need to think through as well as you expand your competency in design. Some of the challenges we saw is because the designer was very focusing on the current state, we didn't have the opportunity to pivot even if we want to, because the research hasn't been done, so those user stories are not ready, and that also means the trade-off, we couldn't conduct the right trade-off. When we talk about trade-off, we always focus on 3 areas. What are the user experiences that we want, and then what are the business values associated with that user experience, and then of course what are the technology constraints. If and when we have that ability to look ahead, say 6 months, 18 months ahead, and if there's a feature or user experience that we desire, we can influence our vendor partner to say, hey, can you just bring these features into your next cycle, and then allow us to bring the capability or experience out of the box instead of customizing the solution. The other piece on this is the benefits on this is that having a designer on the Scrum team added a lot of influencing capital for us. What that means is the team were able to start from beginning, storming all the way from high performance team. As I have shared with you when we started on this journey, is that it was pretty, we were still thinking about function, right? I deliver output, I don't think about outcome. So with this with the designer having those relationships with the PO, the PM, he also just could also say, hey, you know what? Instead of spending just 3 points on this button, why don't we spend 6 points? Because that has a compelling user experience. It's allow us to influence change from a design perspective. So the outcome of this hypothesis, number 1 is, we didn't meet the objective that we assumed, right? Which is have the full activation of all 3 tracks. What we got was execution excellence at the team level. Of course, quickly what we want to do is our ultimate design is full activations. So we pivot into hypothesis number 2. We thought, well, wait a minute. Why don't we just remove all the designers and put them into a shared component team? And then, oh, by the way, add more people, additional people to that to support the research. If we have all the designers within the same component team, we have common language, common approach, reusable components. So that's what we're thinking. The outcome of this is no difference than our hypothesis number 1 when it comes to people, all those arrows that you see on the people constraint, right? Also now you're adding more people, you still don't have, your organization is still not ready to manage and encourage or inspire these creatives, and of course the staffing continues to be a pressure point for us. To this day, that is continuing to be an open switch for us. We haven't closed that yet. We just want your awareness to that is when you lean in on design, you have to make sure that your organization is ready, your staffing model is ready, either it's insourcing or outsourcing. The challenge is that now that you have a component team, you are integrating across all 8 teams, you have to ensure that they are aligned to the common design language. So often you have to have negotiation, influence, working with the Scrum team. Hey, I know that this may not be the best thing to you, but it is a reusable component that the other 3 teams need. Why don't you consider using it, right? And then prioritization and integration became a challenge for us as well. What that means is with prioritization, now that you are a shared service, when the work come in from the team, which one is the priority? Is the Agile team number 1 or Agile team number 5? That become a conversation and very challenging for us. But the outcome is we have better vision, right? We have more research done, we're looking ahead, and then because we're looking ahead, we can pivot, and oh, by the way, we also know what the desired features are. We can influence our partner to give us those trade-offs, so that's kind of the benefits. The net to this is that we have full activation of the design track as well as the delivery track. But when we went back and looking at where we are from a Harvey Ball assessment of where we are from a retrospective perspective, is that we have, because of the taxation of the switching costs between designer focusing on delivery and design go back and forth, because of that, our activation is about 75% at the delivery level and then 50% at the design level. Again, our goal is full activation. So how do we get there? Based on our learning is that we need dedicated people, dedicated designer, no sharing of designers across the track. Have them dedicated at each of the tracks. So that's how you take, from our perspective anyway, is take the program to Bright is from 50 to 75 to 100% is the full dedicated set of people. And in addition to that, this is where it's also important for us is the user council. As I shared with you, we are in the sales organization, so this is a business-led agile transformation. What that means is every time you take all people out of the marketplace, they are not selling. So that's been very challenging for us. Every time we say, hey, we need 6 people in this location to come do usability testing, they're like, okay, well, shouldn't they be selling our products? So what we did is this is all the user segmentation that we activated, align up and down the organization, and provide that, say, hey, we need certain set of people, and we will tap into them over time so that way we don't have to, every time we go to the field, the front line, asking a lot of people for permissions. We have 100 plus people across the FritoLay go-to-market system ready and available anytime that we need to tap into for usability testing. So this is some of the outcomes that we got. When we started on this journey is, you don't go directly into the high fidelity. You go wireframes, sketches. Once it's been validated, and then we go back to, and then create it into either using Sketch, PowerPoint, or InVision to create this wireframe and go back and test it with this user. One piece that we also learned is that we do not, and if an idea is coming for a certain region, a certain location, a certain set of users, we don't go back to them at the higher fidelity level. We validate our understanding, but we don't go back to them because we want to avoid the escalation of commitments. In general, what happens is that if I gave you an idea and then you did what I asked you to do, even though it may not be the best, but it's my idea, so guess what? I still like it, or it's still very positive. So that's kind of where we are on that, is avoid the escalation of the commitment to rotation of research. And then lastly is that we, about 6 months ago, we activated the discovery track at the portfolio level from a design point of view, and then leveraging dedicated people, and it's been very successful for us to be able to see forward as well as long-term, near-term, and short-term. I'm gonna hand over to Carmen to talk about the benefits.
All right, thank you, Ken, very much. To summarize, and we want to share with you some of the benefits that we found, the from and the to, relative to those 3 tracks. So Ken talked about discovery, delivery, and design. I'm going to bring this back to SAFe principles as well to kind of close the loop there. And when we think about vetting ideas, we're thinking about the first SAFe principle, taking an economic view. We learned that delivering often, delivering early, and allowing the teams to validate those benefits when they were still at a small scale helped us to accelerate when it was time to scale to the rest of the train. For the second one, we think about SAFe principle number 9, decentralized decision making. One, we provided role accountability, role ownership, allowed the teams to make the decisions. Having that decentralized decision making process and the ownership that went with that also helped us to increase from a benefit perspective. Simply execute really talks about SAFe principle number 6, where we are visualizing and limiting WIP, managing queue lengths, and reducing batch sizes. That allowed us to keep things small so we could get the flow through the processes. And then finally, SAFe principle number 7, when we talk about synchronization, we talk about cadence, we talk about cross-team planning. That's what Ken was really talking about at the end, where we were giving the teams the ability to plan amongst themselves and cross-team so we could deliver on the results that we were looking for. So let's do a real quick retrospective review. We want to talk about first some of the learnings that we've had, because this journey does continue for us. I mean, even here, listening to Dean this morning, our brains were turning about what are the next things that we can go hypothesize and try to prove out. What we learned first, very quickly, we've got to train the teams. We've got to train our stakeholders. We've got to make sure our end users know what we're doing, and our influencers are trained as well to be those sponsors for us as we think about the conversations that they might be in. We also realized we got to invest early. We got to provide vision clarity, because that's so important for the balance that comes later as well. Ken also spent some time talking about the creative and the career path for those individuals. Within our culture, as we think about what does that look like for them, how do they work with the rest of the train, what does that integration look like, trying to figure out the right staffing model has really become very important for us. Balancing priorities, we have a lot of people trying to tell us what to do, so trying to understand what is the business looking for, what experience do we want to deliver for the end users, and what is that technology feasibility going to be, was important to try to understand how do we create that balance, connected all that. And then finally, having our sponsors and our advocates was pretty darn important. Looking at a couple of KPIs, this first one here being the feature lead and cycle time, we've seen a reduction over the last 18 months by about 70%, and really driven for us from a feature clarity perspective when the design team was able to provide designers what the design's going to look like and do some end-user testing. Our Scrum teams were able to take those features and break them down into stories and remove the ambiguity, so we knew what we needed to get accomplished. We've also been able to be a lot more predictable when we think about the features that we plan for and are able to deliver in each program increment. And this year have been able to stabilize at about 28 features per PI for those 8 Scrum teams that I talked about. And they're usually delivering about 650 to 700 stories for those 28 features. From a release perspective, the solutions that we've come from before typically release once a quarter, when I was talking about those in-market solutions at the beginning of the presentation. Last year, we were able to do about 40 weekly releases, and this year we're on a weekly cadence. The difference being, last year, 5 Scrum teams, they didn't have to deploy every week. They weren't ready to deploy every week. This year, our Scrum teams are ready. They're wanting to deploy, they're getting on a cadence. And we had a benefit hypothesis that if we said, we have a deployment bus and we want you to get a ticket. Tell me 7 days in advance that you want to get on the bus, get your ticket, spend some time in the middle doing your testing, getting all the components validated, basically pack your bags to get ready to get on the bus to go, and then on Wednesday, get your ticket and get on the bus. We've been scorecarding that and happy to say that a lot of our Scrum teams have gotten the ticket, validated everything they needed to validate, and have actually gotten on the bus every week. That cadence, that velocity increase has allowed us to get our adoption rates up as well. Because now the users are getting enhancements and getting new capabilities on a weekly basis, and they're wanting more. And well, it could be a bad thing for us because they're wanting more. So we have to continue to work through that. And I'm going to close on, Ken talked about the user councils that we've had. We've had over 7,000 points of interaction over the last 18 months with those users, and it's been phenomenal. The things that they're telling us about, the way they're thinking about how they want to do their work differently. You can see some of the quotes here on the screen that they talk about, but it gives us an opportunity to provide meaningful business value for them. And I'm going to kind of wrap it back around to what is the ambition of our program, and it's about leading and delivering that innovative, human-centered sales and service experience that's loved by all, and that's what we're here to deliver. So with that, we'll close and we'll say thank you very much for listening to PepsiCo's success story today. We have our profiles out on the Safe Summit app. If you want to continue the conversation, please connect with us and we'll be happy to chat some more. So thank you.
Thank you.